Hello, everyone. Today I have with me Miss Krutika and Miss Madhusmita. So, Krutika, she is a professional who's engaged in the global pricing wing. So, she's a global pricing manager with Garrett India, and Madhusmita is a technical specialist with Hexaware Technologies. So, we have them here to discuss their perspectives as to what their career journey has been like. They are also headed to the Executive MBA program. So, what are the decision making and what are the choices they have had to make to grow as professional in this, up the ladder in their organizations. So, thank you, Kritika, and thank you, Madhusmita, for joining us. And please share your career journeys with us. Kritika, you could go first, please.
Thank you so much for this discussion. My journey started way back. It's been close to 15 years now, and it's been a fantastic journey with a lot of learning. It's not been easy, and this is nothing to do with gender. If you're wanting to make a good career, wanting to make a mark, wanting to be authentic, as they say in today's time, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of tenacity. So my journey, as I said, started about 15 years back with Honeywell, and now it is called Garrett. And I've done a lot of roles within Garrett, about 4 to 5 different roles. And it was a very conscious decision to get a new perspective every 2 to 3 years, because I wanted to be kind of a generalist than choosing an expertise in one particular function. So that has been a very conscious decision. The company also played along, thanks to the results that I was able to deliver. And I always got varied opportunities. So last 15 years, I started from procurement, and then moved into project management, then came to sales, into customer experience, and now I'm into the sales and marketing division. Yeah, different roles, very different challenges. In between, I also relocated to a different country, a journey full of challenges. And now, after 15 years, I felt the real need to take an educational break. It's not going to be a break at all, but let's say, I just found it the right time to invest in myself. This experience has been the biggest investment. I can't take anything away from it, but now I felt the real need of stepping aside and really honing my strengths, because after 15 years now, you can't be doing different things and learning on the job. And this is totally my journey here. I'm speaking just out of my experience. I mean, that's why I've kind of taken this conscious decision to invest in myself and go for an executive MBA. It has not been an easy decision, because I'm also a mother of a toddler. So it's really juggling with many things on your hand. But I know it's going to be a worthwhile decision, especially with the kind of brand that I've gotten admit from. I think I'm really hopeful that it's going to work out well and add more to my professional journey.
Yeah.
That's been my journey so far.
Thank you for sharing the journey. And Madhusmita, please tell us about your professional background and how the industries that you worked with.
Yeah, so I am a software professional. I started as a been 11 years in this profession now. But eventually, when I started as a developer, I slowly moved to certain roles, as the leader and then the team lead, and then I started moving towards more on the client side, where I had to gather some requirements from the client. Somewhere along the way, I felt like I belong more to the client management or the product management side than the development area. So I have been planning a transition basically in my career for quite some time. I wanted to move out of the technical side to something more on the product management area. I have been able to achieve that in my current organization. I'm doing a little bit of transition already, but then 11 years down the line, I feel like it is not a point start from scratch, like learning everything from the beginning. So there should be a strong educational backup that I would really require to up my own skills and move up the ladder. And also at this point, I thought that it could be a now or never chance. Again, I am a mother to a 6-year-old. So it was again a tough decision for me as well. But I thought that as and when years go by, maybe I'll be facing different challenges and I wouldn't be able to take up an educational break as such at that point. So this was the time I thought that I should. And then ISB is a brand. So at this point of career, again, I have to uh, get my skills and the knowledge from an institute like ISB will really be helpful for me to move ahead. So that is how I have got into the PGP Pro program, which I'm sure will be helping me in this career path ahead.
And that would definitely be so. Taking one step prior to your MBA journey. Today very inspiring to hear from you about your stories and share your stories and to give a vision to people who are aspiring for senior positions. So since you've already spent 11 years and 15 years in your career, how has your journey up the ladder been like? What were the challenges that you faced, in terms of gaining visibility and in top position in the organization?
Sometimes your personal choice, organization also feels that you probably need more experience in a particular, before they move you up the ladder, you sometimes need to gain more experience, across the board. Back in these 15 years, it's been a level play field for me. Experiences are very different out there, huh? So it's just a very personal experience. I found it was a very fair and a level playing field. Nowadays it's called this famous imposter syndrome, where you doubt whether you'll be able to do it or not. And when organizations, they want that confidence from you, and if you lack that confidence, you start to lose out opportunities. So for me, it's been a great mix of going up and sometimes even horizontal, and totally merit based in the last 6 to 7 years, where I feel I could have even moved higher. My own self confidence or
Reservation.
some self doubt that held me back from taking higher positions. It's a very personal thing. So yeah, so in terms of moving up the ladder, it's been a very level play field for me. I've been fortunate that I've been given those opportunities. I took them wherever I felt I was confident. It could have been even much better had those little inhibitions not been there. And I think that's what I'm also aiming for from this this educational course that I'm going in for, that little self confidence, or that believing in yourself. I think that does help. A brand and a executive course like that just endorses that belief in yourself.
So, Madhusmita, what are your thoughts on the kind of challenges that you have faced in growing within your organization and taking up those leadership roles? What have been the important highlights of this journey?
I agree with that. Whenever I have proved myself, I have got the opportunities. I wouldn't say that there's an inequality in the organization, or people are looking down upon women as if like a woman will not be able to achieve. There is no point. Or there again, women have this feeling of being perfect in both professional and personal level. We want to do both perfectly. And when sometimes if I felt like if I dedicate a lot of time at my work, then I'll be missing out on giving too much time to my kid at home maybe. Or so these were the times when I had to take a step back, and which is why maybe again the growth slows down a little, because we like to balance everything and we want to be perfect in every manner. But when I see so many other women achieving a lot, even while looking after their family, even managing everything else, I feel like again, yeah, the point of inhibitions that she was talking about, I totally agree to that. So that is something that holds us back. But otherwise, whatever I have achieved so far, I think it is also because of the confidence my seniors had in me. I mean, sometimes there were times where they saw things in me which even I could not identify, maybe. So I have got some extra opportunities sometimes just because my manager knew that I would be able to do that. He could see some special capabilities in me. So that is how I have been able to also transition, because it's not really easy to for a developer to transition to a completely different role. But yeah, it's been a mix. But it's somewhere it also has been a little bit of a roller coaster when it came to managing the family and the professional life together.
And I think, we've had this conversation now through with Kritika. She's from the engineering industry, and you're from the IT industry. We had Shraddha from the finance and the banking sector, and we have, professionals from the oil and gas sector. So all the in all the sectors, what has come across is that the opportunities are there for you to take. It is somewhere that the females are they have their own inhibitions, their own reservations, which are keeping them from taking up those opportunities, or maybe just trying to prove themselves and pick up that challenge to get up till there. So that's probably a very interesting.
Again, I think from the space that we both are speaking from, because we are individuals, hardworking individuals. So I think we're kind of being a bit too harsh on ourselves. But also I think it's the sensitivity in the organization, right? I think we both come from organizations where there is a growing sensitivity. We are not there yet. So again, just to your point about the challenge, I think it's the sensitivity in the organization, around women employees. I think that is on a growing path. It's improving, but we are not there yet. When we are taking up a higher role, a bigger role, it often conflicts with your personal life. It's very normal and very natural, right? But in that case, sometimes the organization also needs to step up to say that it's okay. If sometimes, if you're not making the numbers, or if you're not up to the expectation, it's okay. So that kind of an environment is yet to happen. I mean, it's yet to be established in all organizations. And it's a huge step up. It'll happen eventually, but I think that is one of the biggest challenges, especially for us, women who are really trying to make a mark in this corporate world.
But don't you think, providing a level play field is more important than taking care, the where do you balance the sensitivity part and the level play field part? So if it is level, then everybody should be treated in a similar way.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. I don't disagree. It's very difficult to find that balance, right? But I just feel I'm going through that phase, and again, I'm not blaming anybody at all. But at the same time, it's not a level playing field outside. At workplace, it is absolutely merit based, and it should not change. Totally of that opinion. But outside, at home, it's not yet a level playing field. And we again, we women are still very, very privileged, and with a lot of support system, but there are women out there who don't have this. So
Yes.
outside is definitely not a level playing field. So again, I think it's just that little balance. It'll come up. There's no answer to it at the moment, and it's happening gradually. I see it happening around. But I think that is a challenge for sure. If I, as a privileged person, feel that, then I'm sure women out there are feeling it as well.
No, that's definitely a challenge, but I think then the onus of, how to work on your own personal brand and your own personal goals
Yes,
and not compromising that, and then working the way around to handle everything in that manner is probably the onus is on the women who want to take up a
absolutely.
leadership role.
Absolutely. It's your call. Absolutely.
That brings us to the point of discussing that you've chosen to invest in your own professional growth, and that through an MBA degree. So how did that come into the picture, and what are the plans that you have in the future, and how are you looking at the MBA education helping you break that glass ceiling? What is the agenda over here?
Madhusmita, you want to go?
For me, it's the first time, like I said, that I'm transitioning to a new role. So for me, MBA is going to play because I have not done studies on business, how a business completely works. So to a role of a product management where I have to understand everything about it, not just one part of building a product, but also how the customer acquisition happens, or what are the requirements currently in the market, or how the business will work for a certain organization. And that is where I feel that MBA is going to play a big role for me, because there is so much I still don't know, and there is a lot of perspective when you are also dealing with different customers from different backgrounds. And in a course like PGP Pro, where I'll be having peers from different backgrounds, from different industries altogether, I think it's going to open a lot of new perspectives and doors for me in my thought process. That is primarily where I am looking forward to the MBA education, where I want to get different perspectives and then use that in my current role, so that I can understand the customer use also much better, and also be able to deliver as per the business requirements which are currently up in the market.
And Kritika, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, I have been in a very operational sphere all this while, and all along the way, I've probably inadvertently gained expertise in operational execution, which is equally important. But then at the same time, what I am now looking out of this educational course is a bit of a strategic insight. And as I said, it's for me, it's been difficult to do that on the job. There are opportunities, but it's very difficult when you're leading a particular function. So I think my biggest takeaway from this course in the for the next 2 years would be a strategic insight. And of course, you'll have the best of peer group there, so just being able to wear those different hats and thinking from different perspectives, because now, especially when you're growing in the organization, you're always in a cross functional meeting. You're always sitting with different stakeholders, so just being able to anticipate their insights, anticipate questions, think through the answers, and again, because of thanks to the peer group that we're going to have, not being scared and having the courage to put forward your point without really thinking too much, without overthinking, as we normally do as women. Yeah, so I think that's what is going to be my learning over the next 2 years.
And the personal brand now plays a very important role. That you are going ahead towards a senior management role and a senior leadership role in your organization. It is going to become even more important. And till far, so far, you would have built a personal brand. You have thought about yourself as a professional and built your persona in terms of the aspirations you have and the knowledge that you bring to the table. So, what is the advice that you would like to share with the women professionals who are aspiring to go to top positions and perhaps even top MBA programs? So, what would be your advice to women professionals around? Madhusmita, you could take this up first.
Yeah. So, when it comes to building a personal brand, I think first of all, everybody needs to understand their own potentials, right? I mean, what is my specific quality? Every person would be different. I'll be gaining a lot of perspective from different peers, but there's still something special about myself which has helped me to grow this far in my career. So, one has to first of all understand their own potential and then build a confidence around that. At some point you have to understand what you feel is right and then taking a stand on that. So even when I'm talking about going for an MBA education, I mean, there could be a lot of questions around it. There could be many people coming and giving various advices. Why do you even have to spend so much on an education like this at this point, of why this, why that? We have to be confident about our own thoughts which comes from within. The confidence of on our own thoughts is something I think will take us ahead, because we cannot keep listening to everybody and building opinions on others' opinions. There has to be a point where I have to have my own opinion. Besides the various discussions on how women can grow, at certain point we should also not take too much pressure of proving ourselves as a woman. When you get a promotion, there would be colleagues or there would be peers who would a certain opinion about you, that you got the promotion because you're a woman. It's easier for you, or your manager would be impressed, or he must have given you out of sympathy or whatever. So we should not take too much pressure about that. Okay, now I have to prove myself even more, just to prove that yeah, I am good at it. It's like, it's okay. There's no need to take so much of pressure in proving. It's better to invest much of the time in what the work I'm doing, and eventually somebody agrees or not, it depends on them.
Very true. And Kritika, what would be the advice that you would like to share for women professionals who aspire to get to the top positions and maybe top MBA programs as well?
From my side, I would say to be authentic. And I know it's a very big word, but what I truly mean is, for example, in my case, I've always been told that be more assertive. You don't need to be very nice always. You don't need to be liked by everybody. We understand that, but sometimes that's just your unique leadership style. That's just your unique way of getting things done. And that's where I'm using the word authentic, because that is me, that is how I am. And if that is your unique style, stick to it, it'll work for you. It's taken me a long time to be okay with this thought that if I'm not as assertive as my male colleague, if I can't say no so easily, then I'm not good enough. It's not the case. I can even politely say no, or I can say no in different ways. But that's just my style, and it has worked for me, and I believe it will work for me as well. So I think that would be my biggest advice to all the aspiring women, working women out there. Working or not working, it doesn't matter, but just stick to your true style. You don't have to be what others are, and you don't have to be a sheep in a wolf's skin. If you are what you are. And as Madhuspita said, go by your gut feeling. I think we often ignore that. But if you think that is right, you may go wrong. So, let's not be so bogged down by failures, but trust your instinct. I think that's the biggest power we have as women. So, trust your